Hello ladies and gents, it's Hagbard Celine here on another beautiful afternoon, and today we're going to be trying something a little different. Today I have assembled a compilation of two separate debates being held by the big debate, and of course I use the word debate loosely here because by no means is this being presented as any sort of a formal debate. And I won't be commenting. After my voice stops here, I won't be back till the end. I'm going to present about 15 minutes of uninterrupted clips from these two debate shows. My point in this is not to stoke any sort of tensions or discomfort or racial hatred. My point is simply to draw the parallels. I would like you to watch these clips with the idea in mind that this could be Oxford, really. This could be any of the major universities in the West or the United States in particular. Right now, the same talking points exist. Only, for some reason, they're being used in South Africa, something that we could consider the worst-case scenario of racial interactions. Even the speakers within the clip would like to promote the idea that this is a global issue. That's the purpose of this, and I'd like you guys to sit through it, if you can, and see exactly the type of rhetoric that's being used, even across an ocean, in a situation where multiple races are being made to interact, and see that it's essentially the same damn thing we're getting here.
Have made a really big hoo-ha about the fact that if white people get together, it's racist, and if white people get together, they're far right-wing, and you are wrong.
Archbishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu believes that white people need a different kind of leadership.
It is a shame that the white community has not been able to produce a leader who would say to white people, you don't know just how lucky you are. You don't know just how lucky you are that people can still tolerate living in shacks and go and work for white people in beautiful homes and not kill those white people.
Kayadlanga, let's just admit it. The Rainbow Nation has failed. The whole idea of non-racialism 20 years on, a pipe dream. In fact, we should blame you marketing guys, because you came up with it and then you exploited it for your own commercial gain.
No, I don't think that marketing, came up with it. In fact, it was Archbishop Tutu who came up with it.
And you exploited
and
it.
He was like, the Rainbow Nation of,
Yes.
That's,
Yeah.
he called
and then
the
you
phrase.
exploited it.
I'm not even going to talk about marketing.
So part of how racism works is that we view white people's pain as more important than black people's pain, right?
Sinead?
No, that's not true at all. You view us as thinking that our problems are more important, and then we think that you think that your problems are more important. And that's the problem that we have. And can I finish, please? Because you and I should have coffee, and then you can sort out your personal issues with me. I'm not denying that there are hectic problems in this country that need to be addressed. But we can also not deny the fact that very many of these problems are service delivery, maintenance problems due to cadre deployment, affirmative action. Because people have been put into positions that they are not qualified to do, and the country is falling apart.
In terms of the insight that you've given and so on, you talk about racism against black people. You also talk about white farmers being killed. Whilst there's no mention that the second largest population group in this country, not being white, them being colored, is so neglected. We've got the highest incarceration rate. So we are so caught up between a white-black debate and so on. And this ideal, the zebra debate, this ideal where we want to grow to in terms of a rainbow nation is, so to say, denied because we are leaving behind the people who are originally in this country.
Let me ask you this. When the racial categorizations are made in this country under, for example, black economic empowerment, employment equity, colored people fall under black people. Why do you feel the need? No. Yes, let me finish my point and then you can respond. Why you feel you must hold on to that identity and why it then leads to the exclusion that you're talking about?
There can be many reasons, but the sole reason is we are a social construct in this country. Secondly, constitutionally, we have the right to associate us with whomever we want to.
Yes.
We are coloureds. There's nobody representing us here. I'm just asking for fairness. I'm saying if we are really serious about speaking about racism, let us give each other a fair chance. Let us say there must be a black person, there must be a coloured person, a white person, an Indian person. But you can't say let's talk seriously about racism, but you exclude us.
All right.
I wonder whether we're willing to cede our I-ism, our colorism, our Indianism, our blackism, our whiteism, our Africanism, in the interest of an African identity, which is something that I think is far more compelling than the kind of silos that we are trying to construct. I think that there's no getting away from the fact that the project of apartheid was very linked with white capital expansion. I think it would be more useful to frame our conversation around rather affirmative action, corrective action, because what are we doing? We are correcting what has gone wrong. Reconciliation is not just about, I'm so sorry, I love you, you love me. No.
All right, Sinead.
Pretty negatively, unfortunately. I mean, after 20 years, one would have hoped there would have been more progress in terms of integration. You know, if I look back 20 years when we first started doing this work, there was definitely far more overt racism. I find it's now a far more covert thing. It's as if we can't talk about race, especially as white people. And until we have this discussion, especially in the workplace, until we negotiate and talk to each other, we're never going to build unity. This is our 20th year of democracy, and we're still hearing about me and my white and my, red October movement, and me and my little coloured thing. Why can't we be united?
But
so we need to educate each other.
But isn't what Sinead saying is that we need, she's talking about the rainbow, but she's saying everybody in there needs to have their own space, and she feels that they don't have their own space in this country.
I think that, you know, we have so much space as white people. We have benefited hugely, and we still benefit every day from apartheid. It's nonsense to say we don't.
In 1992, white people had a referendum to decide whether they're going to allow the vote. And we gave the vote because we thought that what was happening was
It wasn't yours
wrong.
to give. Do you acknowledge that? It was not your country to take in the first place, but we acknowledge the fact that you are here. We acknowledge that you are here. It wasn't your country to take.
Is it your country?
It's all of our countries, but acknowledge it's all of ours. It's all of ours. It's all of ours. It's all of
my country.
That's fine.
It's not yours. It's not yours.
It's not the... So I'd like to actually have a conversation, and I'll ask for tolerance in this room, please. Tolerance. All right, Sinead?
What I'm saying is that I don't think the problem is with people on the ground, even the people sitting here. People who govern and politicians are determining the success of what is happening on the ground. We have rhetoric where people go on stages and say the colonists must go and we stole the land and we stole the mines. The Brits took the mines. Buddha never had mines. And we can't keep on having that rhetoric and move forward. Every time I switch on a television or I put on a radio and Julius Malema says that we don't belong here, and what is happening? It's a problem. You cannot preach reconciliation to one segment of the country and preach empowerment to the other segment.
All right.
There's a vast difference between, and I agree with you, there's a vast difference between rhetoric that's used to manipulate the population and sway people and the truth. Ne? And I would be interested in hearing how white people process the emotional baggage of what their ancestors did. I would be interested in trying to understand what it did to white families. How much silence did white people have to cope with? How did white people build a shield around themselves to be able to deal with the system in which whiteness operated all these years? That's an emotional conversation. That's a delicate conversation. I'd be willing to do the work of trying to unravel that, because right now as a black person, I'm trying to do the work of unraveling my own baggage, my own historical baggage.
Let me hear what my panelists have to say. Mr. Langa?
Man, 5 minutes. Why did you
give me 30 seconds.
Sit down. Yes, only.
These two, this is intimidation.
Tired of your black colonization.
Then leave.
Because we are being bullied.
Please leave.
I'm not going because you say I'm going.
I don't care. Please leave. Please leave.
So I will say that the thing that has concerned me the most about the conversation today was the intimidation and the edge of violence. And it speaks to something that we didn't put on the agenda, but I think that we should, which is gender. Because the reality is there was a very masculine intimidation style that was going on here, a kind of bullying. And I think that often the ways in which aggressive racism plays themselves out far more amongst men in particular ways than amongst women. This is not to say that madams are not racist. But one of the things that we also have to recognize, and this is where I insist on holding myself accountable, is that there are black madams who treat their staff horribly.
The reality of South Africa is what happened in the studio. The coloured community is also a minority group and their rights are being ignored, and even in the Cape, where they were the first people there. When we did Red October, which people still criticise us for, it was about minority rights, and in the Cape, the coloured and the Malay people took part. We do not have a democracy, we have a majority rule. Small groups of people are losing their identity, they are losing their cultures. He's asking if he'll be happy if his daughter marries a black guy. You know what? I know very many black men will not be happy if their daughters marry a white dude. Because we should retain our cultures. We should be proud of it. We should keep our languages, our traditions. I mean, I can't imagine some dude coming to my house and bringing me 6 cows for my daughter. But, you know.
No, it's a bit 50.
Oh, 50 cows.
When we return.
The question is based to Sune about the Red October. I actually don't understand why white people tend to be rhinos that you guys are in danger. You need to accept what you have done to the country and you need to sit down and allow us to heal. We have accepted what you guys did. Because what is the whole point of this Rainbow Nation? The guy said, this is their land. This is not your land, sir. You need to wake up from wherever you're dreaming and face reality.
It's interesting when I look at your country, which has only got about 11 tribes, while Kenya has about 45. And to be able to put a nation together is quite a mammoth job. And you must admit that 300 years is a long time to undo in 20 years. The question is, what are we going to do? How are we going to implement a program that is going to unravel this over a period of time?
As the young people, we are colorblind to begin with. I have white friends, I had colored friends, I have Indian friends, I have friends from all spectrums. And when we get together, the most important thing is enjoying an experience of euphoria, enjoying an authentic experience of love, excitement. You know, we don't care if you're black, if you're white, where you come from. What's important is what's in here. What can you give me that I can use to grow as an individual? At the same time, what can I give back to you? You understand? Now, the thing that is actually happening is quite saddening for a person like me, because it feels like the older generation is trying to resuscitate apartheid, which is a giant that is in a coma. I don't believe that the Rainbow Nation project is dead. I believe it's limping. Yes. What's important is that as the nation, we need to come together and say, yes, fine, this is where we messed up. How can we work together moving forward?
Lebo? The struggles that we are dealing with in South Africa are not singular. They are global struggles. People of color, women have been systematically oppressed for centuries. The work that we're doing today to try to break this down is not just important work for ourselves, for our continent, but it's important work for the world.
And I think that this idea that there are a group of exceptional people who led us to democracy and now they're gone and we are sort of left leaderless and looking for someone to replace them is deeply problematic. What's clear from this conversation is that everyone is big on vision and very short on details. How is it that we are going to create this path to this wonderful future? And what you need for that, in part as leaders, of course, but I think you need to be thinking about it consistently and constantly. We had the TRC for 5 years. It wrapped up its work, it's sitting on shelves. I think we need to really think about a national initiative where it is somebody's business every single day, in schools, in churches, in communities. Someone must be tasked with the business of thinking through and dealing with racism in all the ways in which it affects our society, most importantly, the structural ways. Because in some ways, this conversation is a hijacking of the real issues. The real issues are that people are poor, and most of the people who are poor are black.
So do you think capitalist, wealthy, white families like the Ruperts should give away their land, give away their money?
Yes.
All right. We've heard a poem that absolutely captures white guilt. Do you feel guilty?
I feel that I don't have to apologize because I personally did not take part in apartheid. And in my heart,
So
I
can
feel
we say
sorry.
no?
Yeah, I
You
feel
don't feel
sorry for
guilty?
each and every person that was disadvantaged by apartheid. But you can't say that young people today still have to apologize. We also want to...
I don't think anyone's just asking for an apology. I think that happened with the TRC. So, Juan Elisa.
You know, Ms. Chaba, I'm sitting as a black, poor, dispossessed woman in this country and having to listen to Monique saying she's not guilty. But I'm living under white supremacy right now. And we skip away of the violence of white supremacy because we talk about the township, we talk about poverty as things that are it's just irrelevant. That lady's story is so powerful because it's the story of my mother, it's my story, it's the story of every black person in this room who has been dispossessed, who lives under violence every day in this country. So I'm sorry, Sarah, I don't want you to live in ways that you want to give back the land, because I want to take back the land, because for me, psychologically, it's very important that I take back the land. You don't give it back to me because it was taken back forcefully under colonialism. So I want to decolonize this country. And maybe if it means that an army of black people in this country take arms in order to do that, then maybe it needs to happen. But I'm tired of these debates. I'm tired of these debates.
Amanda! Awe two! Ozan sondelani ninenwinileyo. Sizobadubula ngembamba bazobaleka tu. Sizobadubula ngembamba bazobaleka tu. Ulipul sizokushaya uzotutshulwa uliphuno sizokushaya uzobaleka tu sizobadubula bazobaleka tu sizobadubula bazobaleka tu uliphuno uzokushaya uzobaleka tu uliphuno sizokushaya uzobaleka tu ikhabhinethi soyidubula izobaleka tu ikhabhinethi soyidubula izobaleka tu uliphuno sizokushaya uzobaleka.
And, as we can see by that last clip, there is always in existence an element of this population by which a peaceful end is not the desired solution. And that is why I've pivoted the direction I have on this YouTube channel. Because there are indeed people out there that don't want peace, and do want to feel the pleasure that it is to reconquista, if you will. That is an existent psychological phenomenon within at least a percentage of this population, and it must be acknowledged. That's it for me, ladies and gents. I hope you got something out of this, and I know it's not my usual style of video, nor will it be my usual style of video. I was just compelled to assemble it. So thanks. And as usual, stay safe, good luck, and goodbye.